Welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. I am Ken, here today for another top 10 list, the top 10 4Ks that we need to happen in 2022. Part 2. That's right, guys. The video that I did, the last video that I did, the top 10 4Ks that need to come out in 2022, that video did so well, I decided to do a part 2. And you know, I got so many great comments, suggestions from people. What do you do when something's successful? You make a sequel. And this is the sequel to the top 10 4Ks that we need to happen in 2022. And also, there's just so many movies that we need to get in 4K that need upgrades. I'm just excited to talk about all of them. I can honestly do like probably up to a part 20 of these, but I'll keep it at part 2, maybe a part 3. I don't know. We'll see how this one goes. But like I said, I got so many great comments from you guys. It just kind of opened my eyes to some other films that we need 4Ks for. But a lot of these are ones that weren't mentioned, and they're not mentioned too often. These aren't a lot of like rumors that we've gotten recently or anything like that. A lot of these are some off the beaten path choices. I do have some mainstream ones that people have been clamoring for a while as well in here, but it's really just going to be ones that me personally specifically want to see in 4K in 2022. So let's get into it, guys. But before we get into it, guys, I want to ask that if you are not yet a subscriber of the Mid-Level Media channel, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button for more great content. I do all kinds of stuff on this channel, mostly centered around the world of physical media, new Blu-ray and 4K releases, Blu-ray hunts, reviews, collection updates, live streams, all kinds of physical media content in your face every single day. And I definitely appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. Also, be sure to hit that like button and comment down below again, guys. If you got some more suggestions for 4K releases that we need to see in 2022, let me know in that comment section below. And also turn on those bell notifications for future videos. So let's get started, guys. And this first one that I am going to bring up is a more recent title. And I've said it before, I don't always like including the more modern movies. I just think older movies are more in need of those upgrades than some of these modern films. But this is a part of what they call the Frontier Trilogy. So this movie was written and directed by Taylor Sheridan, and it is called Wind River. So the other two films of this trilogy, the so-called trilogy, they're not really connected story-wise. It's just the same writer, Taylor Sheridan, who did all of these movies. But Hell or High Water, Sicario, they both have 4Ks. I think Wind River really needs one as well. This is one that I think is really underrated, probably the most underrated one of that trilogy. It's starring freaking Hawkeye and Scarlet Witch in it, Jeremy Renner and Elizabeth Olsen. They're fantastic. It's easily like two of their best performances I think they've ever done in their entire career. It's kind of like a crime, drama, mystery, thriller. There's a lot of different elements involved in here, but I would say it falls under most of those genres. Some really great performances, and I think it would look fantastic in 4K. It's got that wintry setting, the snow. Just the scenery in this movie, I think it would look fantastic in 4K, and I think we really need it in 2022. Now, will we get it? I don't know. Lionsgate did this movie. Maybe we could do some kind of cool steelbook release. They've been killing it with the steelbooks. I think that they could make a really awesome steelbook out of this one. So maybe some kind of 4K steelbook release with Wind River. I would take that any day of the week. But yeah, this is a really great movie, guys. Again, like I said, written and directed by the same guy that did Hell or High Water and Sicario, wrote both of those movies. And he also does the show Yellowstone. I think he's the showrunner, the writer on that show as well. So it's a big popular show with Kevin Costner right now. A lot of people are in to Yellowstone. But yeah, great writer, great director. This is a great movie. If you haven't seen Wind River, definitely check it out. I think it might be on Netflix right now, so you could watch it on there and then maybe buy the physical media release. But yeah, Wind River's great, fantastic. And we need it in 4K, so that's my number 10. Getting into my number 9, we got a lot of great Dario Argento 4K releases, particularly from Arrow Video in 2021. We got a great one in 2020, or I think maybe 2019 with Suspiria. But this is the other movie that Synopse put out on Blu-ray, and this is Tenebrae. This is one of my favorite Dario Argento films. It's honestly probably in my top 2, and we absolutely need this film in 4K. If we've gotten films like Cat O' Nine Tails, we're getting ready to get Phenomenon. We got Bird with the Crystal Plumage, Deep Red. We absolutely need Tenebrae. It is one of his best films. I love this movie. It is my second favorite behind Deep Red. Then I'd probably go Suspiria after that. But yeah, definitely one of the best Giallo films that I've ever seen. I absolutely Love this movie. It's got some great kills in it, and it would just look, I'm just picturing that scene. If you've seen it before, you know what I'm talking about, but at the end, with the cleaver and the arm that goes on, and just the blood that goes all over the walls, like that scene would look fantastic in 4K. So whether or not Arrow does it with another box set that matches the other ones they do, or Synopsis did it, they did a fantastic job with Suspiria, so I wouldn't mind if Synopsis did it either. So yeah, Tenebrae on 4K, we need it in 2022, and I think with all of the Argento films we've been getting, I think that this one is very possible to happen this year, to be honest. But yeah, Tenebrae would look fantastic. So that's my number 9. Getting into my number 8, guys, this is another more modern film. Like I said, I got a couple of more modern movies in this stack. And this is a really underrated science fiction action film that came out, I think, in 2018, directed by Leigh Whannell, and it's called Upgrade. So Upgrade definitely needs a 4K upgrade. This movie looks fantastic. It's got some incredible visuals. It's kind of in the vein of RoboCop as far as like storyline wise. It's got some incredible action. It's so well directed by Leigh Whannell, who also did the Insidious movies. He wrote those with James Wan. He actually directed the third one, so that was his first directorial debut, his first directed film, and then he directed this, and then he also directed The Invisible Man. I think he's directing The Wolfman upcoming with Ryan Gosling as well. So he's done a lot of incredible work. Wrote Saul also with James Wan, so he's got an incredible pedigree. This movie's fantastic. If you have not seen Upgrade, you gotta see Upgrade. They made this off of like a $6 million budget, so it's got a lot of practical effects in it, and I think it would just look awesome in 4K. I think this movie will look fantastic. The Blu-ray, it looks really good on Blu-ray, to be honest. If I remember correctly, it's been a few years since I watched it, but I think in 4K it could really pop. It's got some really cool colors to it and stuff like that. There's a lot of reds in this movie, and I think it would look great. It's got Logan Marshall Green in it, who I would call like the knockoff Tom Hardy, even though he's a fantastic actor in his own right. I think he played one of the villains in Spider-Man Homecoming. I forget. The Prowler, I think maybe he played the Prowler in Spider-Man Homecoming, but he's been in some other movies like The Invitation. I think he's a great actor, but he definitely gets kind of the crap for looking like Tom Hardy and kind of acting the same way that he does too. But he's fantastic in the movie. The action in this movie is incredible. The gore in this movie is incredible. There's all kinds of blood and guts and just some incredible action sequence in this movie. It would look fantastic in 4K, so I think we need it in 2022. And Universal, yeah, Universal, put it out. You put out The Invisible Man, put out Upgrade in 4K. I would buy it. I would buy it with a cool steelbook too. Hell yeah. Now let's get in my number 7. Now my number 7 is 2 movies. So I'm kind of cheating here a little bit, but we desperately need both the Conjuring films in 4K. These are definitely like modern classic horror movies, and why do we not have these in 4K? Universal, what's your reason? What's your excuse? They honestly should have done them when the third Conjuring came out in 4K. They could have done a box set or something like that, but I need both these movies in 4K. They're 2 of my favorite horror movies of all time. I think The Conjuring 2 in particular would look great. I'm just thinking of some of those sequences involving the nun. Like, those would look fantastic. But The Conjuring 2 is a great, just kind of like classic feeling, old school, like haunted house story, horror movie. Both these movies are scary as hell. I'm pretty sure most people that's watching this video have probably seen the Conjuring movies. These are big mainstream horror titles, but we need these in 4K. Universal, get off your ass and put these out in 4K. Why do we have The Nun on 4K? We got freaking The Conjuring 3, but we don't have these 2 movies. These are classics. Put them out on 4K immediately. So that is my number 7. Getting into my number 6, guys, this is a super underrated crime thriller, cop drama, gangster type movie, kind of in the vein of a Martin Scorsese film, but this is directed by James Mangold, and it's called Copland. This movie came out in 1997, starring Sylvester Stallone and then all the Scorsese mainstays as well. You got Robert De Niro in this movie, you got Ray Liotta, Harvey Keitel. This movie is so good. It's honestly one of my favorite films that I've seen from the past 5 years, as far as first-time watches. Sylvester Stallone, this is probably his best performance. I love the Rocky movies. But I think he's so good in this movie. He plays such a different kind of role than what you're used to seeing from Stallone. You think of Stallone as the badass, you know, from Cobra, from Rambo movies, just, you know, all the movies he's been in, Cliffhanger, just all the incredible action films that he's been in, just playing the badass, the Rocky movies. He plays such a quieter, more reserved role in this film. Kind of timid in a sense, but yeah, he's just surrounded by all of this like corruption in the police department and just all of this like big city corruption just going to the highest level. It's a really great movie. I can't oversell this movie enough, and I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be completely honest here. It feels like a Scorsese film, but I feel like James Mangold, who's an incredible director, who's done some great movies like Logan, Ford v Ferrari, but I feel like James Mangold out Scorsese in this movie. I think I like this movie better than every Scorsese movie that I've ever seen. And I love Martin Scorsese in his movies. I love Casino, I love Goodfellas, Wolf of Wall Street, but Copland is on another level. It's a different kind of movie, and I love this movie. So Copland, I think, would also look fantastic. It's just one of those classic 90s crime thrillers that I think would look so freaking good in 4K. So Copland, we absolutely need a 4K release for. And this is a Lionsgate title. Again, maybe another cool Lionsgate Steelbook with this one. But yeah, Copland would look great. Do I think we're going to get that? Probably not. That one's a long shot for sure, because I don't think a lot of people think of that movie. But, you know, I can dream, can I? So getting on to the next one, we already got the first one in this series, so I think we really need Blade 2. Blade 2 is my favorite of the Blade movies. I love the first one, but Blade 2 is fantastic, directed by Guillermo del Toro. So I think that this one would look particularly good in 4K, because you do have those Guillermo visuals in this movie, and there's just a lot of colors. There's a lot of things going on in this movie that I think would look fantastic in 4K. Lots of gore in this film, you know, the storyline with the Reapers and the vampires. I just think all of it would look so cool in 4K, just the war between the two of them, those light bombs that they throw in the movie. I think it would look fantastic in 4K. I do think that we're definitely going to get this one. You know, Warner Brothers will probably put this one out. Will it be this year? I don't know, but maybe 2023 they'll put it out. I think it's definitely you know, one they should put out this year, because it is the 20th anniversary this year. So what better time to put out Blade 2? I'm pretty sure this came out in 2002. Yeah, it's 2002. So they did Blade in 2020. So why not do Blade 2 in 2022? I really hope they're working on it. I really hope we get an announcement this year, because I think Blade 2 would look fantastic. I'm just picturing the slipcover. I just got it. They would look good. They don't have to do Blade Trinity. They can leave that one alone, honestly. But Blade 2 we need in 4K, and I think it will look great. So that's my, what are we on now? That's my number 5. So getting into my top 4. My top 4, there's some heavy hitters in here. But the first one is still a little bit more of an under the radar pick. It's a, you know, indie drama, crime thriller from 1996. It's a Coen Brothers film though, and that is Fargo. So I brought up No Country for Old Men in my last one. And then when I was talking about that one, I was like, we really need Fargo too. And again, it's another film with that wintry setting, so it will look fantastic in 4K. It's a 90s movie, so I think it really could benefit from that upgrade as well. Got a great cast. Frances McDormand's in this movie. Steve Buscemi, William H. Macy. I love this film, and I watched it a couple years ago. I honestly go back and forth all the time. Which one do I like more? No Country for Old Men or Fargo? So yeah, this is another one. No Country for Old Men, I think I would want first, but then Fargo, I would definitely want second. It would be awesome if we get them both this year. 2 Coen Brothers films on 4K in 2022. That sounds awesome to me. So I'm pretty sure we only have The Big Lebowski. I think that's the only Coen Brothers film that we have in 4K. I would love Oh Brother, Where Art Thou in 4K too. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, Fargo's fantastic. I think it's a classic. I think it's one, definitely a modern classic. I think it's one that we definitely need in 4K in 2022. So yeah, get on it, guys. I'm trying to see who did this one. Maybe it'd be a Lionsgate title, 20th Century Fox. So I guess maybe Disney would have to do this one. So Fargo, 4K. Let's get it done, guys. Somebody do it. And getting into the next one, guys, this is one that we bring up a lot, and I had it on the thumbnail of my last video. So one thing that I do want to point out with these videos, I might put some titles that I don't talk about on the thumbnail, just ones that everybody else is talking about, because I don't want to give away everything that I'm going to talk about in the video. So I put that on the thumbnail, the last one. I think I got a comment from somebody saying, hey, you didn't talk about this one. So I'm going to talk about it now, and that's Aliens. So this one's been rumored, speculated for about a year now, pretty much ever since we got Alien on 4K. Alien looked fantastic in 4K, and I can't imagine this one not looking great as well. It's definitely a bigger spectacle of a film with visuals that I love. Alien's probably my favorite of the two because it's more horror-centric, and this one's more action. But of the two, visually, I think that this one would kick Alien ass as far as the 4K transfer. I think that this will look absolutely fantastic. It's just a matter of Is Cameron working on this one? Is he doing all his films back to back? Did he do The Abyss? Maybe he's doing Terminator right now. Maybe then he's going to move on to Aliens, and then maybe we can get those movies in 4K this year. Are you working on them, Cameron? Are you hard at work, or did you just do The Abyss? But I don't know. I've heard some rumors about Aliens, so Aliens might be happening. Maybe Cameron's working on it right now, and we could see this from Disney in 2022. Again, I know that's a scary thought, Disney doing this one, especially with the Pirates of the Caribbean that just came out. I haven't checked out Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but Speed was a really good release. So if this can be like Speed, just as good of a transfer as that. Also, you know, James Cameron, there's a lot of elements here that isn't the most promising when you think about it. You know, Disney, James Cameron together doing a transfer of this iconic, classic action sci-fi film. I don't know. There's a lot that could go wrong here, but Aliens on 4K, guys, is the risk worth the reward? I guess is what I'm asking everybody. Are you willing to risk it all for a definitive 4K release of Aliens? I don't know. Let me know in the comment section below. But Aliens in 4K absolutely needs to happen at some point. That's my number 3. So getting into my number 2, guys, this is one that when I thought about it, I was like, that doesn't have a 4K release already? And I really had to think about it. I was like, no, it doesn't. It's like, I can't believe that it doesn't. It's a classic horror movie. Definitely one of the classic. I would say it's in the top 10 classic horror movies of all time, at least in like the modern era. And that's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This movie doesn't have a 4K. How crazy is that? This movie is just one of the best movies, horror movies of all time. It's definitely the most iconic. And I think visually, there's so much you could do with this movie with a 4K transfer. I'm just thinking of that, like, you know, sun-drenched, like that sunrise in the morning, just seeing the skull and the grave. You know, Leatherface, just what you could do with him, what he would look like up close. That whole scene at the end where he's just swirling around in the road with the chainsaw. Just the blood in this movie, like it would just look fantastic in 4K. Absolutely fantastic. So we need the Texas Chainsaw in 4K. Again, this is another one I had to think about it. I'm like, we don't have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 4K? That's insane. Why do you not have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 4K? We absolutely need it. And it needs to happen in 2022. So make it happen in 2022. So the last one that we're going to get to, guys, is one that came up a lot in the comment section in my last video that I did. And as soon as somebody mentioned it, I was kicking myself. I was like, why did I not include this? This is definitely one that I've been thinking about, dreaming about owning for the longest time, and that's the Rocky franchise. Yes, I'm including all the Rocky franchises, just like I did for my number 1 of the last video with The Nightmare on Elm Street. But why do we not have the Rocky films in 4K? We got all the Rambo films in 4K with their own slipcovers, an awesome steelbook set. We still don't have Rocky in 4K? Really? And I know we might get Rocky 4, Rocky versus Drago, the director's cut in 4K. That's honestly probably the first Rocky film that we'll get in 4K. Well, I know we have both the Creed movies, but I'm talking like the mainline Rocky films. So we absolutely need Rocky in 4K in 2022, 2023, whenever you guys want to do it. I want to see an announcement for this at least this year, a rumor, just something telling me that they're working on it, because these are just some of the most classic films of all time, and we absolutely need this in 4K. They would look amazing in 4K. Rocky, Rocky 2, Rocky 3. I get it. If you just want to give me the first Rocky, you know, it's the first one, it's the classic. Put that one out and then start working on the other two. You know, I don't need the definitive box set right away. You can do them one at a time, but at some point, I want them all out. I want them all with their own individual subcovers. I want a box set. I want a steelbook set. I want the full treatment for the Rocky franchise. So yeah, I think we could definitely get a Rocky movie in 2022 on 4K, if it's just the first one. So make it happen in 2022. Rocky on 4K. We absolutely 100% need. I can't believe we don't have this. All right, guys, so that is my list. That is my 10 4Ks that we need to happen in 2022. Let me know in the comment section below. Do you agree with my picks? What are some of your picks? Also, be sure to like this video, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and turn on those bell notifications for all future videos. And we'll see you next time.